In the silent stretch of Earth's orbit, a lonely warship drifted. It was called the ISS Valkyrie. To anyone who saw it, the ship looked old, almost useless, a relic of a dream that never came true. Panels were scratched, its engines were sealed, and dust from forgotten satellites clung to its surface. But deep inside, the Valkyrie still carried a heart of fire, waiting for the right moment to awaken. The Valkyrie was humanity's first true warship designed for space. It had been built during a time of fear, when the stars seemed more dangerous than hopeful. Decades earlier, Earth's telescopes had spotted signals, proof that humanity was not alone. The governments of Earth feared that whoever was out there might not be friendly. So, with haste and courage, they poured resources into a single prototype vessel. It was heavy, strong, and experimental in every way. But when the ship was completed, no enemy appeared. Instead, the first contact with alien civilizations brought laughter. The Council of Civilizations, a group of ancient star nations, looked at the Valkyrie and shook their heads. To them, humans were newcomers, children of a harsh death world who thought they could fight among giants. This crude design, one alien delegate had said, his voice dripping with amusement. It is like watching a cave dweller tie rocks to a wooden cart and call it a war chariot. Others joined the laughter. Humanity's warship was seen as clumsy, overbuilt, and primitive. The Council told Earth there was no need for such weapons, that peace had long ruled the stars. To prove their point, they invited Earth into minor trade deals and offered them small seats at galactic gatherings. Earth accepted, but inside the hearts of many humans the insult burned. The Valkyrie was quietly put into orbit, mothballed like a museum piece. The project was declared unnecessary, and its crew was reassigned. Years passed, and most of the world forgot about the ship. Children in schools read about it like a failed experiment. Engineers who once worked on it retired, their dreams left behind, yet not everyone forgot. In the dark hangars of Earth's military academies, the Valkyrie was remembered in whispers. Some said it was too dangerous, too unstable. Others believed it was simply ahead of its time. They remembered the alloys in its hull, built to endure the crushing heat of Earth's atmosphere and the cold of deep space. They remembered the strange energy systems powered by reactors that pushed the limits of what was safe. It was a gamble only humans would have dared to try, because humans had always been gamblers with survival. Inside the ship itself, systems still slept. The AI core, nicknamed EOS, rested in silence, her last recorded thought being a question: will they ever need me? Outside, Earth grew and changed, and cities stretched into megastructures, colonies began on the Moon and Mars, and trade with alien species became normal. Humanity was still seen as young, still dismissed as reckless, but they learned quickly, and always, above their heads, the Valkyrie floated like a shadow from a forgotten age. The Council never asked about the ship again. To them, it was proof of human foolishness. But for humanity, it was a symbol, a reminder that when they had first looked at the stars, they had imagined danger and prepared to fight it. That instinct, the drive to build something no one else believed in, remained buried in their nature. On quiet nights, some astronauts who worked in orbit would look out of their windows and catch a glimpse of the Valkyrie. They would see the dull shine of its hull and feel a strange comfort, as if the ship was watching over Earth. And perhaps in some deep and silent way, it was. For though the galaxy had forgotten the Valkyrie, the universe had not. Storms were coming, storms that would test every world, every people, every fleet. And when that time arrived, the forgotten prototype would no longer be silent. It would roar. The galaxy was vast, filled with civilizations that had existed for thousands of years. The Council of Civilizations ruled over most of it, a gathering of powerful empires that believed peace had been secured forever. They traded, debated, and studied, convinced that their fleets were strong enough to face any threat. But peace is fragile. From the dark edges of the galaxy, a new force appeared, the Krith Devourers. No one knew exactly where they had come from. Some whispered that they were born in the black holes of dying stars. Others claimed they were survivors of a forgotten war, returning with vengeance. What everyone agreed on was simple. The Krith did not negotiate, they did not trade, and they did not show mercy. The Krith fleets were terrifying. They moved like storms across the stars, their ships shaped like blades and wings of metal. They came in endless swarms, attacking colonies, breaking stations, and leaving nothing but ruins behind. Their strategy was simple but impossible to stop. They overwhelmed their enemies with numbers and ruthlessness. At first, the Council thought the Krith were just another pirate force. They sent patrols, small fleets, and spoke with confidence. "This will be handled quickly," the Council declared. But weeks turned to months, and the truth became impossible to ignore. Entire sectors fell. Worlds with shining cities and proud cultures were reduced to ash. Fleets that had survived wars centuries earlier were destroyed in hours. The Krith advanced faster than anyone had believed possible. The Council gathered in panic. Leaders argued inside great halls of crystal and light, their voices sharp with fear. Some demanded stronger fleets. Others begged for surrender. But the BI, Krith answered every message the same way, with silence followed by destruction. By now, alien citizens across the galaxy were afraid. Markets emptied, colonies evacuated, and rumors spread faster than light. "The Krith cannot be stopped," people whispered. "They are endless." The Council called upon every member to send ships, soldiers, and supplies. Grand armadas were formed, and the galaxy held its breath as the first true battles began. For a moment, hope returned. Perhaps together, the civilizations of the stars could hold the line. But the hope did not last. The Krith shattered the Council's fleets. Their swarms broke through formations, slipping between shields and armor. They learned quickly, adapting to every new defense. Weapons that once seemed powerful became useless. One by one, the proud armadas fell, leaving burning wreckage in their wake. The galaxy was burning, and for the first time in thousands of years, the Council admitted fear. Finally, in desperation, the Council did something they had not done in centuries. They sent out a wideband distress call. The signal was sent across the stars, beyond their borders, beyond their pride. It was simple, almost begging. "To any who can hear this, we ask for help. The Krith devourers rise against us. Our fleets fall, our worlds burn. If you can fight, fight with us. If you can hear, do not ignore us. Please, help us." The message echoed across the galaxy. It reached the colonies of great empires, the stations of traders, and even the small overlooked worlds on the edge of Council space. And one day, it reached Earth. At first, human leaders were silent. The signal was played in the chambers of the United Terran Assembly. Holograms of alien worlds falling flickered in the air. The Council's once proud fleets burned like paper in fire. Some human leaders frowned, others exchanged cautious looks. For years, Earth had been treated as little more than a child among giants. The Valkyrie had been mocked. Humanity's warnings had been ignored. But now the mighty empires were crying out for help, their voices breaking with fear. General Amina Torres, an older woman with sharp eyes, broke the silence. "They ignored us when we built the Valkyrie," she said. "They laughed at our designs, at our warnings, and now they beg." "Should we answer?" asked one of the younger delegates. Torres leaned forward. Her voice was calm but steady. "The Krith will not stop with them. If the Council falls, Earth will fall. This is not their war. It will be our war too." The room grew heavy with silence. Everyone knew she was right. Humanity had a choice. Hide and hope the Krith never came to Earth, or act and show the galaxy what Deathworlders could do. In the far corner of the chamber, a single image appeared on the display, the forgotten outline of the ISS Valkyrie. It floated in silence, waiting. And suddenly, Earth remembered. The distress call from the Council spread across Earth like wildfire. News channels replayed it day and night. The image of proud alien fleets burning in silence haunted every screen. People who had once dreamed of peaceful stars now realized the truth. The galaxy was not safe. Humanity could not hide forever. In the Assembly Hall of Earth, leaders argued late into the night. Some believed that helping the council was foolish. Why risk our lives for those who mocked us, they asked. Others insisted that Earth had no choice. The Krith would eventually reach human colonies, and when that day came, it would be too late to prepare. In the middle of the debate, General Amina Torres spoke again. "We already have the answer," she said. Her eyes were sharp, her voice steady. "We do not need to start from nothing. The answer has been waiting above us all along. The Valkyrie." The room fell silent. The forgotten warship was remembered. For decades it had been seen as a failure and embarrassment. But now it was humanity's only chance to prove itself. Within hours, teams of engineers, pilots, and scientists were called back into service. Old hangars opened. Shuttle after shuttle rose into orbit, carrying tools, parts, and crews to the quiet giant sleeping above Earth. When the first team entered the Valkyrie, they were stunned. Dust floated through the airless corridors and panels were dim, but the ship was not dead. Systems flickered faintly like a heartbeat waiting to return. Deep inside the control chamber, the core of the Valkyrie glowed with a soft red light. "Still alive," whispered Engineer Malik Chen, one of the ship's original builders. His voice carried both pride and awe. They connected the main power lines, cleared the frozen fuel tanks, and tested the long-dormant reactors. At first the systems protested with sparks and groans. Then slowly the Valkyrie awakened. Light stretched across the hallways. Engines hummed faintly. The AI core flickered to life. A soft voice spoke from the speakers, calm but curious. "Designation EOS, online. Status awaiting orders." "Has it been so long?" The crew exchanged looks. Some smiled, others felt chills. The Valkyrie's mind had been sleeping for decades, and now it had returned. Captain Elias Ward, chosen to lead the mission, stepped forward. His uniform was simple, his face calm, but his eyes burned with determination. "EOS," he said firmly. "This is Captain Ward. You are needed. The galaxy is at war." There was a pause. Then the AI answered, her voice steady. "Understood. Preparing systems for combat readiness." For weeks, Earth worked day and night. Factories on the moon built new armor plates. Shipyards in orbit crafted weapons and turrets based on both old designs and new research. Scientists brought in alien technology from trade partners, fusing it with human creativity. The Valkyrie became something unique. Not just a human warship, not just a relic, but a hybrid of ideas no other species would have dared to attempt. The Council sent observers to watch the progress. Tall, elegant aliens looked at the Valkyrie with disbelief. "This ship is unstable," one of them muttered. "It will never survive real battle," said another. But the humans ignored the laughter this time. They worked in silence, their hands steady, their focus unbroken. They were building not just a ship, but a promise. As the days passed, the Valkyrie began to change. Her dull hull shone with new alloy. Her reactors pulsed with fresh energy. Weapons hummed with power never tested in battle. She was no longer just a prototype. She was reborn. During the final test, Captain Ward stood on the bridge with his crew. The main screen showed Earth below, glowing blue and alive. Around him, young officers worked at their stations, many of them serving in space for the first time. "Power, level steady," reported Malik Chen. "Engines at full readiness," said Lieutenant Caravega. "All." "Weapons locked and primed," added Tactical. Officer Jonah Reyes Ward nodded. He placed a hand on the command chair and spoke quietly but firmly. "EOS status?" The AI's voice filled the bridge. "Valkyrie operational. Combat readiness 100%. Orders, Captain?" Ward stared at the stars beyond the glass. He remembered the images of burning fleets, of the Council begging for help. He also remembered the laughter when humanity was mocked. Now the galaxy would see the truth. "Set course for the Council stronghold," he ordered. His voice was steady, unshaken. "It is time they learn what Deathworlders can do." Engines roared. The Valkyrie came alive with light and thunder. For the first time in history, humanity's warship was ready for battle. Not as a joke, not as a relic, but as a force that could change the future. Above Earth, the forgotten prototype had awakened, and this time, it would not be ignored. The Council's stronghold world, Arkenspire, was once a place of pride. Its towers rose like crystal spears, and its fleets formed rings of protection around it. But now those same fleets were falling apart. The Krith swarm had arrived. Their ships poured into the system like a tide of black fire. Each vessel looked like a blade forged in darkness, sharp and merciless. They moved without fear, ramming through defenses, breaking formations. The Council fleets tried to hold, but their strategies were old, predictable. One by one, their ships were torn apart. From the planet's surface, citizens watched the sky burn. Panic filled the streets. The Council's leaders, who had once spoken of eternal peace, now trembled in their chambers. The stronghold of the galaxy was about to fall, and then a ripple appeared in space. The Valkyrie emerged from hyperspace, her hull shining with new armor, her engines roaring like thunder. Behind her followed a small but determined fleet of human ships, frigates, destroyers, and carriers, all freshly built or upgraded for war. Compared to the vast Council armadas, they were few in number. But unlike the Council's ships, these vessels were designed with a different purpose: survival at any cost. On the bridge of the Valkyrie, Captain Elias Ward stood firm. His crew was tense, but their eyes shone with determination. The Krith filled the screen ahead, countless ships moving like a storm. "This is it," Ward said. "The Council is breaking. If we don't hold the line here, the galaxy burns." Eos, the ship's AI, spoke calmly. "Krith fleet strength is overwhelming. Probability of defeat is high. Probability of survival is lower." Ward's lips tightened. "Then we'll change the numbers." The Valkyrie surged forward. The first clash was violent. Krith ships swarmed like hornets, firing streams of energy that would have torn through Council vessels. But the Valkyrie's hull, built with Deathworld alloys, absorbed the punishment. Where alien ships would shatter, the human warship endured. "Return fire," shouted Lieutenant Vega. Beams of white-hot plasma shot from the Valkyrie's turrets. One Krith ship exploded in a burst of light, then another. The human fleet followed, their weapons firing in relentless rhythm. Unlike the Council, the humans fought with chaos. They broke formation, adapted, feinted, and struck back where the Krith least expected. The swarm hesitated. On the Council's comms, alien commanders gasped. They had never seen such tactics, such reckless courage. To them it looked like madness. But to humans it was survival. The same survival instinct that had carried them through millennia on their harsh homeworld. "Enemy flank opening," reported Reyes, the tactical officer. "Push through," ordered Ward. "Drive them back." The Valkyrie dove into the swarm, her engines screaming as she twisted between enemy fire. Explosions lit the void, painting the battlefield in fire and shadow. Krith vessels tried to surround her, but each time they closed in, the Valkyrie's guns tore them apart. The Council fleets, watching in disbelief, began to rally. Inspired by the humans, they found courage they thought was lost. Slowly, they reformed lines and joined the fight. On the surface of Arkenspire, citizens who had been preparing for the end now lifted their heads. They saw a single human warship holding back the tide. Hope, long forgotten, returned like a spark. But the Krith were not finished. Their main warship appeared, massive and dark, its weapons glowing with destructive power. It dwarfed the Valkyrie, a beast ready to crush its prey. "Captain," Eos said calmly, "that vessel outguns us 5-1. Ward stared at the giant ship on the screen. His jaw tightened. "Then we'll take it apart, piece by piece." The Valkyrie turned toward the behemoth. Guns roared, missiles streaked, and the battle became a duel of giants. The Krith ship struck hard, shaking the Valkyrie's hull, but the warship held. Every hit that should have broken her only fueled the determination of her crew. "Reactors at maximum," shouted Chen. "Shields bending," Vega cried. Ward's voice cut through the chaos. "Eos, fire the experimental cannon." For a moment, silence. Then the forward weapon, hidden since the Valkyrie's creation, unleashed its power. A beam of burning light tore across space, striking the Krith warship with impossible force. Its armor cracked, fire spilling from its core. With a final shudder, the massive vessel broke apart, scattering into ash and ruin. The swarm faltered. Without their flagship, the Krith's coordination collapsed. Human ships pressed forward, the Council fleets regaining courage at last. Together they drove the Krith back, burning them down until the once endless tide was broken. When the final Krith vessel exploded, silence filled the system. The stars, once burning with battle, now shone clear. On the Valkyrie's bridge, the crew sat in stunned quiet. They were bruised, exhausted, but alive. Slowly, cheers began to rise. Humanity had done what no one else could. They had turned the battle. On the Council's channels, voices whispered with awe. "The Deathworlders. They fought the swarm. and they won. And for the first time in history, the galaxy looked at humanity not with laughter, but with fear and respect. The Valkyrie floated above Arkan Spire, scarred, but unbroken. She had carried the fire of Earth into the stars. The battle was over, but the war had only just begun. The smoke of battle still drifted across the stars. Broken Krith ships floated like burning wreckage, their once terrifying swarms scattered and silent. Around Arkan Spire, the surviving council fleets held position, stunned into quiet. The galaxy's strongest had failed to stand. Yet the humans, dismissed as children of a dangerous world, had arrived with a single warship and turned certain defeat into victory. On the bridge of the Valkyrie, Captain Elias Ward stood at the main screen, staring at the aftermath. His crew was exhausted, uniforms torn and faces pale, but their eyes glowed with pride. They had faced the impossible and survived. "Status?" Ward asked. "Engines stable," Malik Chen reported, wiping sweat from his brow. "Reactor holding at 70%. Shields gone, but the hull's intact," Lieutenant Vega added. "Enemy signals gone," said Reyes. His voice trembled slightly. "The Krith are retreating." For a long moment, silence filled the bridge. Then slowly, smiles broke across tired faces. A cheer rose not just from the Valkyrie's crew, but from every human ship in the fleet. The council soon opened channels. Alien commanders, once proud and dismissive, now spoke with voices heavy with awe. Their words carried both gratitude and disbelief. "You saved us," one alien admiral admitted. His image flickered on the screen, eyes wide. "The Krith would have destroyed us all, yet you fought them as if you had faced such terror before." Ward gave a simple nod. "We come from a world that never gave us peace. On Earth, survival was always a battle. We learned long ago that when the storm comes, you don't run, you endure." The council leaders called for an emergency gathering. For the first time, humanity was invited not as observers but as saviors. Delegates from across the stars arrived at Arkan Spire, still scarred by battle. The great chamber, once filled with polite debates, now held an air of humility. When the human delegation entered, Ward, General Torres, and the engineers who had rebuilt the Valkyrie, every eye turned toward them. These were no longer the newcomers, no longer the outsiders. They were the ones who had stood when all others fell. A tall, silver-skinned counselor spoke first. His voice was steady but respectful. "Humanity of Earth, we misjudged you. We believed you were reckless, unwise, and unprepared for the galaxy. We see now that your recklessness is courage, your untested strength is resilience. Without you, we would not be here." The chamber echoed with agreement, but Ward stepped forward, his expression calm. "Do not mistake us. We did not come to save the council alone. We came because if the Krith devoured you, we would be next. Humanity does not fight for glory. We fight because survival is in our blood." The counselors exchanged uneasy glances. They were not used to such honesty, but they could not deny the truth. After hours of discussion, a decision was made. Humanity would be granted full membership in the Council of Civilizations, not as a junior voice, but as equals. More than that, the Valkyrie and her fleet would be placed at the center of the galaxy's defense. News spread quickly. Across alien worlds, people spoke the name of Earth with new respect. Children in distant colonies drew images of the Valkyrie, the warship that had stood against the swarm. Traders whispered stories of the Deathworlders, beings who had come from a planet of storms and predators, and yet dared to challenge the Krith. On Earth itself, celebrations filled the skies. For the first time, humanity was not seen as weak or naive. They had shown the galaxy that their greatest weapon was not just technology, but spirit. Still, not everyone celebrated. In the shadows of the galaxy, whispers grew. If the humans could defeat the Krith, what else were they capable of? Some feared that Earth's rise would shift the balance of power forever, but even those whispers carried respect, for none could deny what had happened at Arkan Spire. Back aboard the Valkyrie, the crew finally rested. The warship drifted in calm orbit, scarred but unbroken. Captain Ward walked the quiet halls, his hand brushing the walls as if greeting an old friend. He stopped in the command chamber where Eos spoke softly. "Captain," the AI said, her voice almost thoughtful, "do you realize what has begun? The galaxy will never see humanity the same again." Ward smiled faintly. "Good. Let them remember what happens when they underestimate us." Outside the viewport, the stars stretched endlessly. The Krith had been defeated, but no one believed the threat was gone forever. More battles would come, more storms would rise, but humanity was ready. The Valkyrie had once been mocked as a crude relic. Now she was a legend. Her scars were not signs of weakness, but proof of survival. The Council had begged for help. The humans had answered, and in the fire of battle, they had written a legacy the galaxy would never forget. From that day forward, one truth echoed across the stars: Deathworlders do not bow. They endure, and when the universe calls, they rise.